Hello, this is the Montrose Makerspace today for January 20th, 2015. I went to print out my show notes here and my printer just died. So that kind of sucks. I've had that printer for probably 10 years and it never had any problems with it. And I went through about 4 toner cartridges. The lights just are blinking a different pattern like the power supply died. So I'm using my other tablet down here. I have my notes written down on it. Let me see. The idea of me being able to do this in 5 minutes is just kind of a joke. So much stuff is going on. If you are watching and you're able to make it through, and it shows that on the views, that certain people are actually doing it, and there's about 27 watched the first one, which is like phenomenal. It went down to about 15 for the second one and 8 for the third one. So at that rate, that exponential decay, we're going to be down to just me watching myself to review the fact that we got really pretty good quality, by the end of the week. Let's just get started. I added a meetup web link to the sidebar, and I got a WordPress plugin, and I stuck it on the website. So now you can see, if you go to our site, you can see the event calendar basically on the side of our site. I did that last night after I did the recorded last night's show. Bill Green gave notice at his now former employer, so he's going to be working there for another 2 weeks, and then he's going to come over and work at Houck Engineering as well as the Makerspace. And so that's a tremendous asset for us to be able to get access to his talents and expertise. And we'll talk a little bit more about Bill Green and how he's really kind of stepping up to become a major player at our Makerspace. We had 2 people actually comment to me personally about these Makerspace Today episodes. The first one said that I've watched every one, and I watch it when I drink my coffee in the morning. And so good morning to everyone out there who's actually watching this in the morning. What else is here? Oh, the other person said they're very excited about the Makerspace, and the more they watch these things, the more excited they actually get. So that's really good positive feedback that people are actually out there enjoying it. I also got a comment that the camera that I got, this little Logitech camera, is a far superior image quality as well as audio. And I agree. I did listen to the things last night, and it is a lot better than what I had. Let me see. The next one is, I started the morning with Bill Simpson, who's running he's the Montrose High School teacher, reminded me that I need to be at the office tomorrow at 8:30 with my ID, and I never really we never really set a date for us to go over to the high school to be part of their design review. So it was kind of a shock that it was going to be tomorrow. Well, that's okay, except for the tomorrow morning I need to be down at the Heidi's Forum because the Abrams Strategic Group is going to be there to talk about the co-space that's going in here in Montrose. So I need to attend that. So I called around and actually talked to Bill Green this morning. I said, hey, is there any way you can cover the design review tomorrow with the high school students? And he said, sure, I'd be glad to do it. So I talked to him a little bit. I sent the web link about the public arts requirements to him, and he said, okay, this sounds good, I can go do this. So he's going to do the Wednesday morning group, which is the architecture group, and then I'm going to do the other 3 classes, which are another architecture class, as well as the fundamentals of engineering and the woodworking class. I'm going to do those on Thursday. I also emailed this thing kind of desperately to David Crane at Excellent Marketing here in town, as well as Drew over at the Montrose Daily Press, and said, hey, look, if there's any way you go down and shoot this stuff for video content or photos for future stories in the newspaper, this is your opportunity. You have 4 opportunities in the next couple of days to address how we're going to handle the design review phase of their project. That took me up to lunch. I had a little lunch, and then I met Steve Matheny over at the Makerspace. Now, Steve is working on this is his own project. He wants to promote the Makerspace from an educational perspective beyond what we're already doing with the high school public arts exhibit. And so he is producing and directing a video that that shows various B-roll footage as well as me talking about the makerspace. And he came in with his camera and his headphones. He kind of gave me his concept, and I'm completely on board with this. So he said, here's what I want you to talk about. Just start talking. And so I did that for about an hour and a half till I lost my voice. And that's a great benefit to the makerspace, is that people are going to come in and actually want to produce their own content, and we get the benefit from that because he wants us to use that as collateral for our discussions with people that actually want to fund us from an education perspective. And I kind of summarized the thing by talking about my own experience as an engineer. A lot of engineers can look back in their past and see some specific event that steered them in a specific direction. For me, it was when I bought an AM radio, much like this one here. I bought this from my newspaper earnings for $16 at Metzger's hardware store in Los Alamos. And I was amazed at what you could actually get on an AM radio at the time. I was able to pick up, Oklahoma and Nebraska or South Dakota, pretty far away places. And this got me very much interested. And actually, the fact that I bought this, I then became interested in car stereos and stereo equipment. It's throughout high school. And I went to school to learn about doing amplifier design. And I wanted to learn everything there was to learn. So it took all the way through a PhD to learn everything there was to know about audio amplifier design. But that's really fostered a lifelong learning thing with me. So when I look at the makerspace, we're going to provide opportunities and exposure to a lot of these kids that come through, and maybe spark that similar type of interest for them and steer them in some direction that they didn't actually even consider, whether it's jewelry, 3D printing, machining, circuit design, software development, phone, app development for phones, whatever those are. We're going to have a really good experience for people to come in and see that there's things that are well beyond what they even thought they could get access to here in Montrose. And while I was there, I picked up this radio, and I was going to talk about this lifelong learning thing. One of the things I've been getting into lately is I brought over a vacuum tube. I bought a bunch of vacuum tubes at a garage sale. And I've been learning about these because in my electrical engineering experience, I'm a little too young to actually, I know what these are, and I know they work at very high voltages, but that's really the extent of my knowledge. But since in the last 6 months, I've been very interested, and I get excited about doing design work with these big beasts. So I had one of these over at the makerspace, and when I picked up my radio, the tube actually rolled off of the surface table that I had it on, and it broke. And so now I got to go out and find a replacement tube for that. And I did some search online, and I can buy a new old stock. That tube was a dual triode tube for a high voltage power supply that I had, so I'll be able to replace that. But this is an example of the lifelong learning. I'm 52 years old, and I'm as excited about learning about vacuum tubes and how the design works. These are very similar to MOSFETs. They just, most MOSFET designs now are running at 3.3 volts or 1.8 volts for microprocessors. But these things here, these they can run up to thousands of volts. But typically a guitar amplifier will run between 350 and 500, 600 volts at really low currents. So this is exciting for me, and this is kind of what I've been doing in my free time. Where are we? Oh, so Ross talked to a supplier today. Ross is running Houck Engineering, and he actually bought another 4-axis lathe with live tooling. So if you do some research on the web about what a 4-axis lathe is with live tooling, you'll get to see that the makerspace and Houck Engineering, that they're side by side. We're going to have our makers, when they want to go into production, they can contract with Houck Engineering. And since he has now 2 Doosan 4-axis lathes, It's quite a production facility, like literally steps away from from our makerspace. It's like a walk across a driveway, and that now you're over in the production area, and that's a giant benefit to us here. While he was in there, he was talking to some tool suppliers. Came in, they gave him a line card, and they're talking to him about various things they're working on. They're giving a presentation for PLCs, a PLC line. They're going to give some classes in Grand Junction tomorrow. And while they were there, Ross kind of gave them the pitch on the makerspace, and they're going to become a corporate sponsor. Unfortunately, I didn't write down their name. I'll post that at some point. We'll start updating our website for these sponsorships as they come in. So that's a great thing for us. And then, so let's talk a little bit about our phone system. We got a Google Voice phone number, and I wanted to actually route that right directly to my cell phone, but I'm already using a Google Voice phone number to my cell phone, so you can't have two. So I have it routed to my house, and then my house phone I have then forwarded to my cell phone. That link doesn't quite work very well. But when the city phones come in, because the city's going to donate some voice over IP phones, I'll reroute this. But these calls come in on the makerspace line, and sometimes I can get them, and sometimes I don't. So a gentleman named Ted called, and he said, "Hey, you're going to have a tour tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, we are at 7:00." He said, "Okay, I'm going to bring about a couple people by, and we're going to take a tour." And I said, "Okay, we'll see you at 7." So that ended up around 4:30. I came home, and the city is going to come over. The city council is going to come over tonight after their city council meeting. So I wanted to be really prepared for that. So I took a nap this afternoon and woke up from that, and Dixon from the Tinker Mill called, and he said, "Hey, what's up with what do you need us to tell you?" And I said, "Well, we're working out the curriculum for the basic operation and safety, and we want to find out what you ended up doing. And we wanted to specifically find out what kind of testing procedures you had for these people that take the training. Do they go through a test?" And he said, "I don't know exactly what we do on that, because we have a wood shop foreman and a metal shop foreman, and they're not doing foundry work over there. So they have a foundry foreman and a 3D modeling foreman, or they call it textiles. So they throw in the 3D modeling and the 3D printer and that kind of thing." He said, "I'll get together with them and find out what we actually do." He's going to get back to me on that. What I suspect is we're going to have a cooperation on developing this content, because they have a similar type of tool set, and there's no real reason why makerspaces need to go through and reinvent this particular content, because we all have the same issues. We want to teach shop safety and as well as equipment safety. So we're going to work with the Tinker Mill on that. And I've been going back and forth with Dixon for about 5 days on trying to get this call straightened out. So when he called, I was actually excited about that. At 6 o'clock, I went to dinner with my wife at the grocery store. We like to go down because we can take advantage of their salad bar and their deli. And it's always changing. So while I was there, I got some cookies for the councilmen. I knew that our meeting was going to be long, and they're coming in after their city council meeting at 7. So if they're going to be there a couple hours, I kind of anticipated them getting there around 8:30. They could be 10 o'clock before they went home. So I wanted to keep them pumped up on some sugar, so I got some cookies there. Then I got over there at 7 o'clock for a 7 o'clock tour, and sure enough, Ted comes in with the Mustang people. Well, some of them were Mustang car guys, because they were wearing 302 hats on. And I gave them the quick tour, and I said, "Hey, this tour normally lasts about an hour, but you're more than welcome to join us when the city comes through. But the city's going to come at 7." Well, at that time, I didn't know when the city was going to come. Virgil texted me and said, "Hey, we're done. We were a really short meeting. We're going to come over." And so they got there at 7:30. So, but in the half an hour, I talked to Ted, who is a World War II veteran, and he did bring over 4 of the people that are working with him to kind of, because he's actually a machinist, and he's been a machinist for probably about, it might be up to towards 70 years maybe. He was wearing his World War II veteran hat on. Even though he's 90, he was very spirited and really excited about what we had over there. And I was kind of joking with him about things because he was, still out there seeing what's going on. He pulled out a 3-ring binder with he's been making lately in his retirement life miniatures. Like he had like tiny miniature engines that were run on compressed air, steam engines, tractors. A lot of those things are really high precision, small models. And I was really impressed at the detail that he goes through. He's really a craftsman. And I said, "So, Ted, are you going to come in here and teach some classes?" And he said, "Oh, these guys, I don't know if I know anything that they want to know." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You've been doing this for 70 years. You need to come in here and teach these youngsters how to do things, the 70-year-olds, how to do things, because your lifelong experience is something that we want to, pass on, some of it, a very little part of it, on to some of these makers." So if we can connect Ted, who's a 90-year-old, with one of these high school kids who's 14, 15 years old, and we're going to form these bonds that just are going to be great. They're just going to be great. Ted left the evening saying, "Look, here's what I want to do. I want to sponsor a veteran a year membership to come through here and take advantage of what the makerspace is, go through some job training, and get to the point where he can get a job beyond where he is now." So through our partnership with Welcome Home Montrose, that's what we really want to try to do. And so Ted came in, saw our vision, and said, "I want to be part of it. Let me know when it's ready, and let's make that happen." So we applaud Ted for his contribution, not only financially, but his future contribution from his experience level and potentially teaching some classes in machining. I mean, come on, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years of experience. Let's listen to what Ted has to say. City arrived exactly at 7:30, like Virgil said. Now, we thank them for their support. Now, if you don't know, the city, is part of their commitment as a partnership, is that they pulled gigabit fiber to our facility, and they're going to connect us up for internet service, as well as the VoIP phones, voice over IP phones at the city. They're also going to put in a city hotspot there for our lounge. That's part of their commitment. What else are they going? So they're also going to buy the computers for our CAD workstations, as well as some software. So we thank them for that. Now, this is an odd thing. Bill Green has been coming over in the evenings and actually helping Ross do his production for Houck Engineering. And so he said, I told him the city is coming by, and he said, "Okay, I'll try to get done with what I needed to get machine done by the time you guys show up." And I said, "Oh, don't you dare. You need to be in there making stuff." And he says, "Well, it'll be kind of noisy." I said, "No, I don't care. This is a machine shop. This is a makerspace. We can go over in over in the CAD room and have our discussion. We don't need to be having it out here." And it's really, it was like the first night of all these tours that we've actually had activity going on in there. And what he's making is like they're manufacturing parts for a high, what do you call it? It's a water jet equipment company, the Durango, and he was making these big steel hinge parts on the Haas 4-axis lathe. And so that was good to see that he was doing that, and it really wasn't that noisy, and people didn't seem to mind. So we did move into the CAD room. The people that showed up from the city are David Romero, Rex Swanson, Kathy Ellis brought her husband along, Gary, and Virgil Turner from the city. And so actually Virgil was excited to bring everyone over because the city council, as well as the city manager and Virgil, just got back from Kansas City. Now, they had a lot of fine barbecue there, but they also went over there to check out how Kansas City is handling economic development. So Virgil sent me a thing, said they've been to, they went to the co-space called Think Big Partners there in Kansas City. So they were working, they learned about the co-space activity, they learned about the accelerator activity, as well as their startup kind of environment. So they went and talked to the Think Big Partners as a co-space, the Sprint Accelerator, as well as the Kansas City Startup Village. They didn't actually tour any makerspaces when they were there, but they were primed to come over and listen to the very front end of the economic development, the entrepreneur ecosystem, which is the makerspace, the accelerator, the business development, and the financing part, and spawning off all these companies. So because they went last week, it was really critical that they came in to let them know that, you know, we have one of the top 5 makerspaces in the country in terms of the equipment we're going to offer from day one. And they got to see that, and they were very excited about the things. And Ross and Kern were there for the tour for that part of it. We talked about the 4 groups, you know, the weekend craftsmen, the K through 12 plus the community college activity and the education component of the makerspace, the veteran component in our partnership with Welcome Home Montrose, as well as the economic ecosystem, and how various entities in the region are now going to cooperate to have a pipeline for these entrepreneurs who have ideas to come through. So now my tablet keeps going to sleep here. And we ended the night, so that they showed up at 7:30 and they left around, I don't know, when did they leave? Around 9:30. So they were there a couple hours. They did hit those cookies. Initially, they didn't eat the cookies, but eventually it kind of dragged down a little bit. So they had some cookies to get pumped up. So right on the money with that decision. Gary Ellis is a former former Montrose County councilman. His term just ended, and Glenn Davis took over his seat. So we got his thoughts on economic development initiatives going on at the county, and he really urged us to go ahead and finish the proposal that we do have in place that we developed and get that over to the county. So he encouraged us to do that, and that's just one of the many things that we want to get to that we just weren't able to get through before he left office. So this has really gone on long today. I don't actually know where we are. This recording software doesn't tell me where we are. But anyway, that's... oh, wait, there's something else. Tomorrow morning, we're going to go to Heidi's Forum and go to listen to the CoSpace thing. And Bill Green's going to do the design review. I don't know what's going to happen after that. But we'll see tomorrow night here at the Montrose Makerspace today.